Hi, guys, and thanks for joining me today. I want to talk about the cycle of social isolation. A lot of people feel like isolation is just a decision that people wake up and make like this. But the truth about it is, typically something happens. There's usually a trigger that can cause a person to feel anxious or depressed, and therefore they begin walking through the stages of social isolation. Whatever that situation may be, it may be a foreclosure, car repossession, job loss, divorce, breakup, change of family structure. It could be anything. And it can cause that person to feel like being alone is the only solution. So it first starts with a strong desire to be around people that you really love. So you want to be around your friends and you want to be around your family. And then when you're around them, you start to feel overwhelmed. You wonder if you're a burden. You wonder why it doesn't feel safe, why it doesn't feel comfortable. You start to feel overwhelmed with everything going on. And so you convince yourself that being alone or staying home is where it's safe. That's where no one can hurt you, where there's no chaos, where you're ultimately in control. So that's when people start to stay at home alone. And then they begin to feel alone and isolated. And the thing about it is that we are meant to be in communion with people constantly. We are supposed to be around other people. That's how we were made. But when we're isolated, there's a lot of negative outcomes that come from that. It could be a weakened immune system, disrupted sleep pattern. It could be altered state of consciousness or paranoia. Some people begin to have thoughts of self-harm. Other people begin to act on those thoughts of self-harm. And that's also a lot of times where those who commit suicide come from as well, from that isolated state. The good news is you don't have to stay in an isolated state no matter what happened to you, no matter what has changed or no matter what has convinced you that that's where you need to be. So today I want to share 3 ways that you can break free of that isolation cycle so that you can find support. The first thing is to not substitute digital for physical. A lot of times it's tempting to stay home where it's safe and no one can hurt you, and then you find yourself on social media. And you think that that's a great way to communicate with people. But we need to be in face-to-face community in order to really support us, in order to really encourage us, in order to let us know we matter. When you spend your time on social media, you're taking in more overwhelming stimuli. You're starting to compare yourself and wonder why so-and-so's life is better than yours. Maybe you feel frustrated because you're basing your emotions on the number of likes that people give you or the number of shares that people give you. It can cause you to question where you are, why you matter, if you matter. And so digital socialization is not as healthy as physical socialization. The next step is to ask for help. So reach out to a trusted friend. Tell them that you're starting to isolate, that you're feeling alone, and maybe even have them hold you to it. So sometimes when you're isolated, it's difficult to call in that moment. But if you notice yourself starting to pull back, reach out to a friend and say, can you call me once a day? Can you stop by my house once a week? Can we plan a lunch date? Bi-weekly, whatever that may be, so that you're not tempted to isolate and you have someone holding you to it. You could also consider getting support in this way, whether it's through a mentor, whether it's through a coach or a counselor, just getting support so that you're held accountable to breaking free of that cycle of isolation. The final step that you can take is to be patient with yourself. When you've dealt with a traumatizing experience or a life-altering event, it's tempting to beat yourself up and to have high expectations of yourself. But depression and anxiety are real emotions that are difficult to tackle. One day you feel great and one day you don't. It's not a linear healing process. It's a process that's, up and down, and it sometimes doesn't make sense. And so be patient with your journey. Understand that some days you may be able to be in community with some people, and other days it may be okay to be alone. But what's not okay is always staying isolated, because that leads to those feelings of loneliness and depression, and it reinforces that you don't matter and that you're supposed to feel depressed or anxious. So challenge yourself today to move away from the digital socialization and step out into the physical socialization, whether that's joining groups or doing lunch with a friend or whatever that may be. Challenge yourself to ask a person for help. There's nothing wrong with you if you need help. We all need help from time to time. In fact, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of confidence to be able to ask for the support that you need. And most importantly, be patient with yourself on the journey. It takes time to really heal your hurt. And if you're rushing the process, you could miss a lot. But if you slow down and allow yourself to learn from it, and you're patient and kind to yourself and do a lot of self-care, then you're able to move forward with success. I know that this is a difficult topic for many people, and it can feel overwhelming when you're actually experiencing it. But the only way to break free is to break free. There's some routines in our life that work really well for us, and there's some routines that we must break, even if they feel like they're working. Socially isolating on a regular basis is a routine that you must break, no matter what your emotions tell you, no matter if it feels like you're in control or it feels comfortable and safe or familiar. You have to break free from it. So definitely start working towards that today. Let me know in the comments below what you have tried and how that's worked for you. And make sure you hit like and subscribe. And until next time, I will chat with you guys later. Bye.